Alright, so we're having a couple problems with this quad. This is a 1988 Honda 250X. Pretty cool quad. But yeah, a couple problems we're having with it is it's leaking oil out of the spark plug area over here. You can see it's just drenched in oil whenever you start this thing up. So today we're going to be taking this thing apart and trying to figure out where that leak is coming from. I don't know if it's a gasket failure or if it's a crack in the head or what this could possibly be. It's just pumping out oil. So I know that oil goes into the valves to lube it up, but I don't think that much oil. That's a ton. So something is not right with this thing. I don't know what it is. Could be a crack. Could be a stripped out spark plug. Could be a lot of different things. So let's take a look today. Let's strip her down and see if we can diagnose this problem. Before we start digging into it, let's quickly do a walk around of the quad. I noticed that all the tires go flat when you let it sit for a couple days. So tires have good tread, but they just go flat. So they probably need tubes installed. You can see the 10th letter of the VIN is a J, which means it's 1988. It's got disc brakes on here, on the front. Air-cooled engine. Oh, you can see the VIN right there too, 1988. You can see the choke is on and off right there. Let's see, all the wiring looks like it's intact. Chain and sprocket are decent. Disc brake on the back. It's got a little rear light in the back. Looks like stock exhaust. Stock seat. Everything looks like it's stock in here except for the headlights. A couple LEDs in the front. Yeah, not a bad quad. These are pretty cool. Cool vintage quads from '88. They just run forever. 250s, air cooled. Bulletproof. Bulletproof engines. But yeah, so that's the quad. And we can get this thing fixed. It'd be a really reliable, nice quad. So let's dig into it and see if we can solve this problem. Alright, let's begin by taking off the seat, the plastics, the tank, all that fun stuff, so we've got access to the engine. It'll be a lot easier to work on because it's pretty tight quarters in there if you're just working on it from here. So let's get all that stuff off. It looks like we've got the air box in here. That's nice. Let's get the plastics off the front of it over here. Alright, we got all the plastics off. Laying over here. Let's try to get this gas tank off of here. Alright, now we've got access to the top of the engine here. So we'll start by getting out that spark plug, I think. Seeing if that's stripped out. I don't. Let's see. Oh, cable wasn't really in there too well. So little slippery in there from the oil. There we go. Looks like we've got a DR8ES plug in there. Let's see if we can get to that. Probably an 18. We'll see. Looks like it might be an 18. Plug looks like it was running pretty good, pretty decent. Let's see. A little rich, but not too bad. I don't see any cracks in there yet. I don't know where that oil's coming from. Very strange. Just kind of take a peek in there. Not seeing any cracks yet. The gasket does look like it's broken in there though. Right there. So it's definitely a possibility. But let's get all this stuff out of the way. All these hoses and stuff. Get all that stuff off. And then try to take this valve cover off. Hopefully we can see a little bit better in there then. Try to get these hoses off of here. That one's off. What else? We've got to get the decompression release valve. It feels like it's kind of not springing back at all. Yeah, that spring isn't in the right spot. That's why that's not working. See, it just stays up. It's supposed to spring back down. 10 milli. A little bit rusty. There we go. There we go. I think we've got an oil line right here. Smell? Yeah. Oil might pour out of here. Alright, so these can easily strip out, so we gotta be careful taking these off. Oh man. Got that one. You don't want to use an impact for this. We'll work on getting these three out. I think that's all we have left to do. Alright, I just took off this valve cover to get to this bolt right here and check that out. It's missing the little screw. Like that one right there. That's what it should have right there. So that's not good at all. That could be part of our reason. I wonder if that screw is in there somewhere. Yeah, not good. We'll take off the other valve cover and see if one's missing over there too. But it looks like it just rattled it loose and it's just completely missing. I don't see it down there anywhere. So we'll have to investigate where that is once we take off the valve cover. What the heck? I've never seen that before. It's not stripped out either, it doesn't look like. Very strange. Got the exhaust valve cover off. Little valve cap, you can see those are fine in there. Both of those are intact, so it's just the one right here that we're having problems with. Alright, let's get these other bolts off right here. 1, 2, and then 3. The third one's down there, and then this whole valve cover can come off. Not that I know of, at least. Let's see what we can find in here. Pretty sticky. See, the rockers are nice. Look at that one. That one's got some big wear on it right there. That was grinding off somewhere. And you can see these three have the bolts in here for the valves for the adjustment, and this one doesn't have it. So you can see how worn that is on that rocker, and this rocker's pretty worn too. And that actually hits the valves right here. So I'm wondering if those are pretty worn as well. We'll have to check. Those little clips in here aren't seated properly, so that's not good either. I don't see any cracks yet, but I don't know where that bolt went for it. It's gotta be in there somewhere. It doesn't even have a gasket around there. It looks like there's some very light silicone placed on it, but no gasket to be found anywhere. So that could be where the oil was pouring out of. You can see zero gasket anywhere. No gasket on the surface of this. No gasket on this surface, so very likely that it was pumping out of that gap right there. Doesn't look like any cracks in the cover that I can see yet. So that's probably good. Clip that's out right there. There, I just push it back in. There, that's good now. So that clips back in. Timing chain feels good. Nice and tight. Right there. Right in there. There's the screw that we're missing. And you can see it gouge right there. Looks like it got hit by the valve. So I wonder if we turn these valves, if one is going to be crunch. And I wonder if that's why the rockers are crunched up a little bit. So we'll get that out of there. I'm guessing what happened was the screw got caught in between the valve. And I wonder if... Oh man, that's bad. Oh man, look at that hole. There's a hole right there. Oh man. It's just shooting out oil through that hole. That's why. Yep, that little screw punctured a hole through the case right there. Look at that right there. Look at that hole. So what happened was a screw on the rockers went down here, rotated around the cam got stuck, and then that screw was underneath the cams and it punctured that case right there. So very unlucky, but you can see the hole it made. Oh man, that sucks. That really sucks. Either needs to be repaired or needs a new head. We'll see what the damage is once we get these cams out, but alright, just fish this out. That would be the culprit right there. That would be the culprit right there. You can see how bashed up that is. Got crunched a couple times. Alright, since we have to take the head off, let's get this pipe off of here first. Then we can get access to the chain tensioner. Get that off. Alright, now we can get the chain tensioner off now that the pipe is off of here. Here. Looks like that's in good shape. Some wire tied around this chain. We don't want it to fall in. Try to get this cam out of here. Alright, cam's out. Alright, now we can see the damage done. You can see the big hole. And you can see all the thread marks from that bolt. Right there. It hit, got caught underneath the cam. And then the cam spun and busted a hole right through there. And there's a ton of oil in that hole. Kind of a mystery of what the piston's gonna look like. Hopefully not too bad, but we gotta get the carburetor off next, and then the head should come off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 6 big bolts. All right, here's the cam. Just gonna check this over. Bearings are good on the cam. Looks like, oh yeah, there's a little damage to the cam right here. If you look. See, it's kind of deformed. You can see that little corner's poking up a little bit higher. So it's not really sitting straight. It looks like where that bolt hit it, it kind of punched that piece of metal out over there even further. But yeah, you can feel it. It's like indented right here. So it must have hit a couple times on that. Yeah, right there. Look at that damage. Damage done right there too, little indents. The other one feels fine so far. Yeah, the other one's fine. Little indent right there too, right there. So a couple imperfections in the cam. It's not horrible. If you just grind off that little piece, I bet you that'd be fine to use. Bearings feel fine on both sides. Sprocket looks good. Alright, let's get this carburetor off next. Looks like. Get that off of there. Gas is pouring out. Alright, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big nuts and bolts we have to get out. This one's already out. Take that one out. There's a washer there too, like that. It's around there pretty tight. I'm gonna go in a crisscross pattern here. Right, there's a washer underneath there. Doesn't look like there's anything else. That washer. Alright, let's try to get this head off now. I'm gonna put the oil pan underneath. There's probably a bunch of oil in there. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, it's coming up. Gotta get this wire. I think maybe. There we go. Piston looks pretty good in there. Piston doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look like the piston was damaged too much, at least on the top. I do see a couple flakes of metal on there, but the cylinder wall is pretty good. Could have just been metal from the gasket too. But yeah, cylinder wall feels pretty good. I'll have to rotate the crank down a little bit to make sure, but that feels pretty smooth so far. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's take a look at that head. Alright, so here's the head. You can see the damage was done right here. And what happened was that piece got pushed down. Oil started going through here. Then if you look in here, right by the spark plug hole, you can see it comes out through right there. Let's see if I can get a light in there. You can see it kind of bridges over there into there. So oil was just pumping out through there. That's why it looked like it was coming out through the spark plug hole. And really there's just a gap right there between the valves. So really, that doesn't really go anywhere. It's just kind of like a hollow pit in there, because on the other side, it didn't poke through the other side. And that's why the piston was probably fine, because it didn't go all the way through. But you can see oil was leaking out of this valve pretty good. That is the valve that had the little pin missing, so that one's probably bent. Probably causing a little bit of low compression there. You can see all the oil seeping through right there. I'm just wondering where the metal chunk is that broke off of here. We'll have to drain the oil and see if it's in there, but I'm guessing it's buried in there somewhere. So it's probably, if I shake this thing around, it's probably in there somewhere. Because that's a pretty big chunk that broke off. I'm hoping it didn't go down into the case down here, because then it would be down here somewhere, and then you have to take out the clutch cover. But we'll see if there's metal shavings in the oil when we drain it, and that'll kind of give us an indication of where that metal piece went. If there is metal shavings, we know the metal piece went down into the engine. If there's not metal pieces, it's probably in here. Doesn't look too bad so far. No metal shavings or anything. At least not yet. So that's good. Let's take a look. Any metallic-y particles in there? Doesn't look like it. Looks pretty clear to me. Alright, we got our compressor, valve compressor here. Let's see if this valve pops off. Alright, let's see what this valve looks like. Pop that through. Seat looks pretty good. Valve looks decent, little carbon buildup, but nothing too bad. Definitely needs to be lapped, but not too horrible. You can see some corrosion on the surface there. It looks pretty straight to me though, so I can go back in for now. We'll lap those. Alright, we got this valve off. That was a little tricky to get off. It was really on there. Let's see what she looks like. Seat's not too bad. Again, definitely needs to be lapped though. You can see the little pits in there. It's probably why oil was seeping by. So those can be lapped. But otherwise, it doesn't look too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, valves look pretty good. We're going to clean this off with some brake cleaner and try to repair this hole as best as we can. We need to sand the area right here. Use my Dremel and just kind of clean up these pits. Little Dremel tool action. Just gonna take off a little bit. Kind of roughen up the surface a little bit. Alright, let's mix up a little JB Weld. So I stuck a little piece of cardboard underneath there so the JB Weld has something to go against. To fill that crack in. Alright, that looks pretty good. Nice and flat. I even did a little spot up here just to make sure there was no crack. And then the crack only went to like here, but I extended it all the way out to here just to make sure we got a good tight seal. We'll let this dry overnight and then come back and try to reinstall it, see if it works. We've got to get a couple parts for it. Top end gasket kit, a new one of these guys for adjusting the valves, and then I've got to clean up the surfaces of the cam and then probably get some new rockers for it. But everything else looks pretty good. Piston looks good, cylinder looks good, timing chain's good. So really it's just hoping that that works, that repair. Otherwise we'll have to buy a new head for it. But that's not too big of a deal. I think they're like $250 to $300 for a new head. But anyway guys, that'll be next video. Stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll be ripping this thing around and having some fun with it next video. Thanks for watching guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video on this beast. Until next time, we are out.